New York Times report. Don't worry. And we're of course going to start. We're of course going to start off with the Asmongold ban. We got to get the drama, the little drama, out of the way. I guess it's kind of drama, but it's kind of relevant to the platform in general. And we'll talk about it. Yeah, the cockroach is down, folks. Now, for the cockroach, for Asmongold, I mean, there isn't a day that goes by where he's saying where he's not saying a bannable thing, obviously. All the while, the right wingers, they spend a good deal of time claiming that I'm doing bannable shit. I'm saying bannable shit. You know, they try it, and now their attempts are actually making their way to mainstream news as well. I mean, it didn't work on the internet. It's not going to work in mainstream news as well. This is the one that they keep unearthing, where I'm talking about, my favorite flags. Like, we're talking about the coolest flags from a vexillology perspective, and I say it's the Hezbollah flag, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe he's saying this." I said, "This is a comedy podcast. I know it's a difficult concept for an Israeli to understand." But yeah, basically, the very same people that spend a good deal of time trying to, should you call him such names? Cockroach is dehumanizing, even if he's a piece of shit. Yeah. I mean, he calls me a terrorist. He calls Somalis parasites. But I think his own community have recognized that they're cockroaches. Like, that's a self-described moniker. You know? Yeah, he calls himself the Roach King. But it's very funny. To be fair, I do appreciate like neo-Nazis that are big fans of Asmongold coming in here to feign woke 1.0 attitudes. Woke 1.0 attitudes like, "Oh, well, I don't know if this is appropriate. I really find it dehumanizing language." Yeah, well, he calls himself a cockroach. He calls his community the Roach Ranch. I think it's unfair to cockroaches in general, but yeah. All the comments and the hidden replies are about you. Yeah, of course. As soon as Asmongold gets banned, you already know. Twitch ban. They deserved it. Blame Hassan. They didn't deserve it. Blame Hassan. You already know what's up. Anytime this kind of thing happens, like his community immediately start brigading everything. I'm just going to show you exactly what we suspect is the reason why he got banned. Because it can be a million different things. It could be so many different things, because he is a TOS violation, a walking terms of service violation machine for the most part. But I have a good idea of what it was that did him in this time around. It's most likely the advocacy that he was engaging in about murdering migrant children. So that's the reason why he got banned. I mean, he's done so much more. It's kind of crazy that that's just the tip of the iceberg, really. It's the tip of the iceberg as far as like what got him banned. Because he does commentary, like violent commentary, urging his followers to go out and do violence against the police for what he perceives as the police protecting the Somali community in Minneapolis. He's done that. I mean, he's advocated for violence by leaning into systemic forces of violence often. Like, that's the way he does it, where he'll just be like, I should just kill everyone all the time. He has advocated to, Asmongold has advocated to put people in concentration camps, labor camps, for civil offenses. He's advocated to murder protesters exercising their First Amendment rights. He also doesn't shower at all, which I find to be very strange. It's a strange decision. Yeah, he's advocated for terrorizing the police for not brutalizing immigrants. I mean, all of those clips are out there, right? They're readily available. So, I mean, it's a fairly standard moment. So I suspect it's difficult to identify exactly what did him in. But I'm sure someone has that clip, right? Can someone send me the clip of him advocating to shoot migrant children? Hasanabi Productions. Oh, here it is. Asmongold says undocumented children need to get shot if they cross the border with their parents.
This is emotional blackmail, right? Well, you can't shoot these people. They have kids with them. Well, then don't bring your kids. If you don't want to get shot, then don't bring your fucking kids. It's really simple. You mean you'd shoot adults and deport the kids, right? Well, I'd shoot whoever. Yeah, I'd shoot whoever. I mean, if it's kids, women, men, anybody, just shoot them. They're going to stop coming over. Because if you don't do that, they'll use...
I think he's been watching too much pro-Israel commentary that he thinks this kind of shit would fly. You know, the last time he did this and got banned, it was the same thing. He was talking about how, genocide is totally permissible, that the Palestinians are barbaric and deserve genocide. And now he's doing it again. This is the second time Asmongold has been banned for advocating to murder children as well as adults. How is this not a permanent ban? Twitch doesn't usually offer permabans, especially to someone who's as large as Asmongold. Let's be real. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know how long this ban will be. I suspect maybe 7 days, maybe 14. Chop it down to 7 on good behavior, something like that. But I mean, this is the only reason why this happened is because it was highlighted. It was such a heinous thing. It was such a heinous statement that even normies were like, dude, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, just a reminder, Morgan and many other smaller content creators got 30 days. They got banned for 30 days for doing a tier list where the bottom of the tier list was, enjoying Sabra hummus. The Sabra hummus gate, that was 30 whole days. Meanwhile, Asmongold has been advocating, agitating, trying to foment violence towards every marginalized community, whether they be overseas, being destroyed by the American military, the Israeli military, or even here with ICE over and over and over again. So I suspect it was this was what crossed the line for Twitch, especially because there was a lot more outside attention.
Children and women as shields to get themselves over. And then they'll put more women and children at risk because they know that they can use them as collateral so they can get more of themselves over. That's the way it works. That's the way an animal thinks, and these people are animals.
Yeah, this is classic Asmongold saying, immigrants are animals. What's also interesting about this comment is like, right? And white supremacy, simply put, I'm not like being super woke about this or anything. I'm just going to give it to you straight. White supremacy is low IQ cope. Right? White supremacy, hold the line. It's a minor blip. Calm down. Okay? Calm down. All right. It's back. It's gonna, there's a little bit of a baby blip in between. It's gonna be fine. Okay. Look, simply put, white supremacy is low IQ cope. Okay? You only lean into these kinds of narratives when you feel insecure, when you recognize your station in society doesn't match up where you think you would be. And for a lot of people, they just cope with the idea that like they were supposed to be this powerful being. They were supposed to be this domineering force in American society around the world. So they're desperate to punch down at anything they possibly can. So that's all it is. Yeah, being a white supremacist is the easiest way to identify someone as being low IQ and coping. Okay? And there's perhaps no better example of this than what he's doing here, where he goes, these people are animals. Right? He talks about undocumented migrants or just refugees as animals while simultaneously advocating to slaughter them. You're worse than an animal. You're worse than an animal. If you like the thing that separates man from the rest of the animals is the capacity to feel empathy, the capacity to go beyond simple self-preservation, but it is our capacity to feel empathy as a social animal, right? So when you want the American government to react as a feral animal, as a predator, you are unironically the actual animal, not the undocumented migrants. You are behaving like an actual feral animal. And yet, because white supremacy is low IQ cope, a lot of the people in Asmongold's community don't recognize it as such. They don't realize that they are the ones who are agitating. They are the ones who are behaving like feral animals when they demand this kind of violence towards people that they've never met, or people that they might have met, that they might like.
It's just the way it is. They're savages. Absolute fucking savages. Hamas tactics, terrorists. Of course you don't.
Look at that. Like, Hamas tactics, they're savages. We are not the savages, he says. While we are the ones who are, look at the comments, dude. These people are deranged.
Always, this is
classic comment is blame others for protecting their country, but when in charge, do worse to their own people. Wait, what? Yeah, I don't even want to get that far into the right-wing rabbit hole. I just, I find it strange that these people don't understand that.
Want to do that doesn't mean you want to do it, but you have to do what you need to do in order to enforce your borders, man. Like, that's the way it is. People are too emotional to see that. Yeah, I mean, like, again, like it's you can't make decisions that way. And I understand the way that I talk about this might be a little bit extreme. It might be a little bit
That is a clip that was shared by his own Cliff Farm. It has his watermark. It was a take they thought was worth highlighting, Lamau. That entire community is full of sociopaths. Yeah. Yeah, no, he got hoisted by his own petard for sure. Because they are increasingly more right-wing, increasingly more reactionary on that side of the internet. Part of it is because on Twitter, these kinds of takes that are unbelievably extreme, unbelievably violent, these sorts of takes are normalized. And I think Elon Musk's algorithm boosts these sorts of takes, and it makes people feel comfortable saying things like this, when in fact, it's perhaps one of the most disconnected attitudes that you could have. Because in the real world, if you were to say things like this, in the real world, if you were to talk about, what must be done to refugees, to migrants, to people that work in these industries that you consider to be invisible, but are very visible and very important aspects of the American economy, our neighborhoods, our communities, most people would probably get very frustrated with what you have to say. I often talk about the permissible boundaries of racism, misogyny, and there is definitely a level that most Americans broadly would be comfortable with, and this goes far above that, right? There are a lot of people that identify with or find sympathy with white supremacist talking points, to a certain degree, until it goes past a certain point. When someone self-identifies as a Nazi, for example, most people who might even agree with some of these white supremacist through lines will then turn around. Why are you guys sending me fucking 12 like posts? They won't ban us on for praising terrorists. They're two sides of the same coin. Who cares, man? Please. Yes, I think we have a real crisis in stupidity. Okay? We have a real crisis in stupidity. Yes. I think we have to realize that many people want to simply appear smart. And one of the easiest way to try and appear smart when you're a stupid person is to say horseshoe theory, two sides of the same coin. I'm actually a moderate. I'm actually right at the center of these two different dangerous forms of commentary. It's just a lot of people are stupid. You're looking at a super botted website. Okay? We don't have to address every single stupid person and the way that they misunderstand jokes, the way that they misunderstand hyperbole, sometimes directly and sometimes because they're just stupid. That's it. There is no equivocation, no moral or any kind of intellectual equivalence between someone like myself and someone like Asmongold. We are not two sides of the same coin. I guess he's my polar opposite in many respects. I shower. I'm educated. This is something I truly care about. I have moral convictions. He has none of that. He doesn't shower. He's not educated. He has no moral convictions whatsoever. He's simply a grifter. And also, I believe in uplifting all people, and he certainly does not. I believe that we shouldn't murder children. He clearly believes we can murder some children, right? So in that sense, we are polar opposites of one another. But dumb people will look at the situation and go, well, I don't agree with Hassan, and I've been duped into believing that he's this dangerous radical, and therefore, I'm going to sit here and say, people who say that the international law recognizes the occupied people's right to militarily resist against an occupation is exactly the same as advocating to murder children. Yeah, only if you're a fucking stupid person who's fallen victim to unlimited amounts of propaganda do you make that decision. And unfortunately, there's a lot of stupid people. There are a lot of stupid people. Like Romansky is currently doing it. Rape Tone posted a joke you made about the Great Replacement, presented it as something you admitted in secret. 40K likes, a senator reposted it, new smear against you. Guys, it's fine. Like, look, I will never stop believing in the capacity of the average person to be a little bit more, a little bit smarter. But like, we can't do, again, neo-Nazi base boosted nonsense every fucking day of the week. Yes, dude. Yes. They think I'm, like, if people believe in the Great Replacement, if people genuinely believe that like immigrants are coming in to specifically dilute the white gene pool, then yeah, they're going to look at a situation like that. They're going to look at a statement like that with me making a very clear joke about how white genocide is not real. And they're going to farm it as like it's real. There are a lot of people who, unfortunately, on the far right and on the right now, who believe that the white genocide is a real concept, that great replacement is a real concept. Who cares? Just push back on it. Be like, you're a fucking idiot. White genocide is not real. People consensually engaging in race mixing is a concept that isn't controversial any longer, no matter how hard you want it to be controversial. Okay? Remember, in this day and age, we're now engaging in a media environment where the other side is not living in reality. There is no consensus reality. So my goal is to try to snap people out of that stupor to the best of my ability and bring them back into the real world, because I want people to live more productive lives, be happier, be healthier. And I genuinely think this kind of attitude is forcing them to become more insane. I think this kind of attitude, like going to communities like this one and constantly being inundated with a barrage of reactionary propaganda, is making them more mentally ill. Okay? It's making them antisocial. It's making them mentally ill. It's unproductive. It's unhealthy. You know?
Unemotional. I wish we had more people like me. I do. I wish we had more, because we got too many pussies that are too worried about the optics of something rather than the reality.
Yeah, again, another clear-cut sign of insecurity is leaning into the argument of murdering children and being out of a place of strength. I mean, even in movies, like, what fucking hero says we have to murder children? Simply put, only villains say things like that. Only weak people say things like that. A strong man protects the vulnerable, okay? You are the pussy. A strong man protects the vulnerable. A strong man protects the weak. It is weak men who constantly try to harm those who are marginalized, to hurt those who have less than they do. That's it. That's it. It sucks that these guys have such a cynical attitude about this sort of stuff. It sucks that these guys have such a villainous outlook, such a sociopathic way to view the world, where they genuinely think like all virtue is fake. And it might be fake for them. It might be fake for them. Maybe not everyone in the community, maybe not everyone that watches Asmongold. I still believe that there are plenty of people who watch him because they've just been duped into believing that he has a sensible position on these issues. And I hope that moments like this are opportunities for them to kind of snap out of it, to be like, okay, this was a bridge too far. I do find this to be a really insane statement, right? Because it is. It's not sensible. It's not sensible to say that the American government should murder children, and that they're all of these refugees are they're animals, they're barbaric. I think the side that demands to murder children is the barbaric side, is the savage side. And I don't think that's a controversial take at all. You know? There is no world where the good guy in any movie or in any book, any TV show that says we have to murder children. That's not what good guys do. Okay? You're calling on the murder of children. It's very Israel coded, which is unsurprising because Asmongold has found himself also defending Israel quite a bit. You know, the real right-wing populist hero that loved Donald Trump because Donald Trump was a heterodox thinker. Donald Trump was going to be the peace president. These guys love talking about how, like, I'm not dying for Israel. Kamala Harris is going to get us into war with Iran, until Donald Trump got us into war with Iran, and now they think the war with Iran is good. These people don't have any clear positions. They don't have any moral convictions. That's a major difference between people like myself and many people that operate in this commentariat sphere, right? When Joe Biden, who I despise, does something wrong, I call it out. When Joe Biden, who I don't like, does something right, I praise him. I praise Joe Biden pulling out of Afghanistan when many in the media yelled at him over it. It was the right thing to do. And I criticize Joe Biden for continuing the genocide of Palestinians, for offering Israel the runway, the social and political cover, for offering Israel all of the unlimited weapons and tax dollars and support that it could possibly get from the American government. I praise Biden for appointing Lina Khan, for protecting consumers. Balls and strikes. Balls and strikes. But that's it. Here is a great example of this. Inflation is now lower in America than any other major economy in the world. Big Mac meals still cost $18, says cynical Publius. This is just another one of these like right-wing accounts. This was bullshit. I called Biden out when he was doing this vibe session nonsense, when he was saying that inflation is actually, the economy is receiving a soft landing and people are not actually suffering as much as they're frustrated. This guy now, under Trump, turns around and does the same exact thing. Amazon has 24 count cases of burritos for $67.97. That's $2.83 a burrito, just saying. Damian Toll calls this out, says, hey, Joe Biden, Big Macs are too expensive in 2024 and 2026. When Trump is president, food is cheap. Just buy bulk frozen burritos. That's where we're at. Okay? This is why Republicans are going to lose. It's the same reason why Biden lost. It's the same reason why Kamala lost. This is why the Republicans are going to lose. This is why Trumpism is going to fail. Because the Republicans have no interest in fixing the economy. They never did. They've actually worsened the economy at a time of unprecedented economic instability, oftentimes worsened by Trump's foreign policy actions, like the ones that we've seen in the Strait of Hormuz at the behest of Israel, when we went in and we blew up a little girls' school and we triple tapped it, and then the Strait of Hormuz was closed, and it worsened the economic volatility. It destroyed the energy markets, right? Trump has no answer for this. Trump has no solution to this problem, and he certainly doesn't have an answer for this. And as we have found out, as this is something that I talk about quite a bit, you cannot out-yap an empty fridge. You cannot convince Americans by and large that their situation is better overall, constantly leaning into transgender athletes, constantly leaning into, queer people are dominating society, constantly yelling about migration and how immigrants are the reason, especially after you closed the border and you flexed on everybody and you said, hey, we closed the border, no more migrants. Is your economic situation better now? Perhaps it had nothing to do with migration. Perhaps it had nothing to do with migrants. Perhaps everything to do with capital. And that is my point. And that's why I believe that Trumpism is going to fail, as it has failed the American public broadly. Yes, I know. I know my internet is bad. Here's one great example of this. Mike Rogers, millionaire Mike Rogers, says voters are blaming Trump for high prices and they're nuts for it. The Trump-backed candidate continues to dismiss affordability concerns of residents. This is why Republicans are going to lose. This is why Republicans are going to lose, because the only solution they have is to constantly hit the same lines over and over again. Culture war. Please do not talk about class warfare that is being waged against the working class in this country. Just talk about culture war instead, please. That is an act of desperation. That's an act of desperation. And the reality of the matter is, they can't gaslight us any further. They can't lie to us, especially when the opposing front now has many communicators that will force the issue, that will stress the issue of class. Whether it be Abdul al-Sayed, who's not a socialist, but understands the real problems that Americans are facing, or whether it be Zoran Mamdani, whether it be Melak Kiros, Chris Rabb, Donovan McKinney, numerous others that we've worked with, Claire Valdez, Daria Liza Avila Chevalier. These are people who will become nationally prominent socialists that are communicating under the banner of the Democratic Party. These are people who will use the platform and the legitimacy offered to them by winning their elections to reroute American consciousness to understand that the real issue is the system. If we had not had these sequence of victories in the midterms, in the primaries, the Democratic Party's message probably would be, Trump is bad, if at that. And it would be messaging that was a day late and a dollar short. There are some communicators that are fairly reliable on the liberal side as well. You have the James Tallaricos of the world. You got John Ossoff. Those guys are pretty good at identifying the corruption of the Trump regime. They do liberal populism, but it's not enough. You can't just attack the Trump administration. You also have to have a vision in the affirmative. You have to have a vision in the affirmative. You have to present Americans with an alternative that they can identify, with policies that they perceive as tangible, policies that will improve their lives. Okay? Yeah, if it was left up devices of the centrist Democrats, their midterm strategy would be Trump is bad, ICE is fine and redeemable and we'll redeem it. And the Iran war, let's not talk about it too much. Let's not talk about the Iran war too much. Let's never bring up the salience of the issue of the administration's allegiance with Israel. Let's never talk about this foreign country that has received unlimited amounts of funds, unlimited amounts of weapons, that we've burned through our arsenal, we've burned through our munitions stockpile in defense of.
With the Iran war now.
And that's where we're going to start today. Situation monitoring. We're going to start